Perfect timing. Hey, everybody. It's us again, your favorite panelists in all of the realm. As you can see, I've changed my name. I've alter ego on brand with it. Last time I was here, I was Brian Moon Knight. This is my alter ego, Matt Spector. I am your host for this evening's festivities with two of my favoriteest people in all the land. He is the Stephen with a V to my Mark Spector. Joe, say hi to the people.
How's it going? I am currently an avatar of mashed potatoes, and I'm doing just fine. Just some mashed potatoes waiting for some gravy.
There you go. And then everybody's favorite singer extraordinaire, the songbird of our generation, if you will, the
Please.
Layla that brings us all together. Jazzy, say hi to the people.
Hello, it's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, we are excited. So this is episode 3. Y'all know I never know the episode order. So we're halfway we're
So hard
halfway
with this
through.
series.
I know we're halfway through at this point, and
Woohoo!
this episode had like a lot without having a lot in it all
Mhm.
at the same time. All
That's
at
a
the same
really,
time.
really good way to put it.
There was like so much and not enough, all at the same time. So we'll just kind of just jump right into it because there's just like I said, there's a lot, and not a lot to cover. So we open up with the scene of Layla doing some shady underground black ops, getting together a fake passport so she could head off to Cairo and everything. We get some world building. We get a cool little chestnut, which I'll drop it now because we're gonna get more detail into it later. That Layla's dad has passed away. He was a archaeologist, and if you remember a detail about a crime that Mark Spector was accused of in the last episode, they're connecting some lines here. One thing that I did want to point out, because this is the first time I've got to talk to you guys about the show, it's very divisive. Some people don't like it at all. Some people are loving it, but the cinematography in
Mhm.
this show is like bar none. Just how that show was, that first opening scene with like Layla talking to her, we'll just say her aunt. Just like how everything like was shot and how like they opened it up was like a blurry out of focus shot and it landed on her. And the acting is just they're just killing it. Like all the actors are just doing great because like how she was like talking and then she would stop for the picture
Yep.
and then talk again. I just thought everything that was going on. So since this is my first time that I've got to speak to you guys about the Moon Knight show, since we're being alternating, what are your thoughts on the show thus far, heading into episode 3? Jazz, we'll go with you since you're laughing.
Um, it's not exactly my favorite of the Marvel series that we've gotten. As people know, I have enjoyed Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision much more than this. Um, but I'm not fully on board with this series yet. But I did really enjoy this one compared to the last two.
Joe, how you feeling so far? 3 episodes in.
I would rate this show so far about an 8 out of 10. Like it hits most of my notes. It's a little slow and messy. And I don't, it feels like it's meandering, but I still have enjoyed it. And it's mostly, like mentioned before, on the strength of the performances. Like I don't think the narrative is quite there, but the performances are enough to keep me anchored. That being said, so far this is my least favorite episode. Um,
Mm.
yeah, I'm not a fan of this one, and it's just because I don't. Some of it feels very placed as opposed to like organic.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. It definitely was just like they remembered that they only have 3 more episodes. And
Yeah.
then like,
Well,
let's move the story along.
there's a scene later where they're like, "We got to go meet this guy." I'm like, why?
Yes, we're gonna get to all of that. There was a lot of time skips, like get there in 2 seconds halfway across the world. So we cut the Cairo. Oh, another thing that I did want to point out about the cinematography, because someone had mentioned this and I didn't realize it. Anytime we get like a Egypt centric show, it's always like a rundown backwater town or like a
Yeah.
sacred dig site. But it's like they're really like showing that no, they have like cities and like a nightlife and everything.
There's a
And it's really
scene
like,
later on where they have a
mhm,
big establishing shot, and you see some of the skyscrapers and stuff, and I'm like,
yeah.
that's good. Way to go.
Yeah, and I thought that was really cool that they like, like shows like The Mummy and things like that. It's always, like rundown town, like third world country, or like
I mean,
sacred burial
it was
site.
the 20s. Technically, everywhere was at that point.
Very, very true.
But
Very true.
I do like that so far they've seen to kind of like thread this needle of highly recognizable modern infrastructure, which exists everywhere, but without like discarding the cultural elements of the locations they're in. I mean, you know, England had colonialism and dirty cops, and then this place had weird bazaars with exotic goods plus skyscrapers.
Nightclubs.
Yeah.
Everything and everything. So yeah, so like I said, we got like the setup. There's like the little nugget in there about Layla's dad, which we're gonna get back to. And last episode ended with Arthur getting a hold of the Scarab GPS compass thing, and then we returned back to him. So I was a little confused as to, so you see him in his coat, and they're, I guess, heading to Ahmet's tomb, but they look like they're searching for it, and I'm like, isn't that the whole point of that beetle? Like, he has like everybody out there, just, he's like, yo, keep digging, we're gonna find it. And I'm like, what's that for? Like, I thought that was supposed to like get you there.
They could it's a tomb, they could dig in the right direction and maybe still not find the door.
So it's like the Find Your iPhone app, like it's around here.
Here's a big opportunity right here that they didn't steal directly from Aladdin, because I remember the popped up from there. That would have been a nice little wink, but you know, I guess
there's still time.
All I'm saying is, in general, it's been proven in worlds like this where there's like fantasy gods, the gods are usually dicks, and like it wouldn't be surprising if it put the door on the bottom of the thing.
All the way to the bottom. Like, they give up like an inch before the door. Like, yo, we've been digging.
Or it's like the tomb is a big sphere and the door is like down here, so they have to like dig underneath it and hope it doesn't collapse.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. But yeah, I would have been sick. Like, I did all this to like get this scarab that's supposed to lead me there, and it's like, now I gotta do more. It's like, I thought that this was what this was for. Like,
well, I mean, it's just all that is like a waypoint in a video game. It's an arrow floating above the character. Like, they know the direction, but like, where's the entrance point? I've been walking around this building for 20 minutes.
Google Maps in big cities like San Francisco, New York, exactly like that.
The worst.
Yeah, especially when elevation matters, like getting on a freeway or something. Like, I'm going the right way. Why am I not going the right way?
So Arrow and his coat, they're like digging and everything, and one of his cronies, I believe, wasn't it the fake cop from like
it
the
is
last
both
episode?
Of them were, I think.
Well, it was the same guy, and they was like, oh yeah, like Mark Spector's here, and he's just like, yo, whatever happens, do your thing. I gotta go handle this. Well, now we see Mark running on roofs. That was very Aladdin-esque. Aladdin chase scene. It looks like he's chasing some guys. We get no context as to why he's chasing these men, but it's kind of implied. But it just kind of like jumps right in. And I kind of want to like break down this fight, because so much happened in this fight. Like, there was like a lot that was thrown at us in terms of like showing the softer side of Mark, to where, you know, where he could have punched the kid, but he chose to just smack him and whatnot, what have you. And then obviously, like, you know, his fight skills, because I know in the comic book he's like a mercenary, right? Has that been said in the show?
It is. I think it's been implied he is in like the second or first episode. But yeah, like Mark is supposed to be like ex-CIA mercenary person, so hand-to-hand combat, 3 forms of fighting, et cetera, especially the fictional like TV movie and comic version of the CIA, where everyone's like a trained assassin and not just paper pushers.
Yep. Well, they all introduce us like, oh yeah, it's just a temp. It's like seasoned veteran assassin. Like, okay, gotcha. But yeah, but just like breaking down with the fight and everything that was going on, Jez, how'd you feel about like this sequence? Marvel's good for some sequences. Like, if anything, we're gonna get some fight
scenes. Sequence. I have to give it to them. It moved very smoothly, even though it was still a bit slow compared. Obviously, it was slow, but I mean, I liked it. It kept my attention for a little while.
Yeah, well, a lot of moving parts. Go ahead, Joe. What are you gonna say?
I think the music was really good. And I did really enjoy that Mark got some snarky one-liners off during the fight. That's like, oh, that's the Marvel form we've been waiting for. The snarking superhero who's the lead of the piece. It just took episode.
Yeah.
It just took 3 episodes to get there. But I also Oscar Isaac is awesome in this role. He does a really good job of blending both the characters, but like watching this made me go, oh man, if they didn't have Oscar Isaac, I know a really good substitute who would have been a really good actor for this role, and it's Jeffrey
Give it to
Donovan. Jeffrey Donovan, if you've ever seen Burn Notice.
Oh,
The main, is he the main guy?
Yeah, the guy who
Oh, I
plays
love
Michael
him.
Weston. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in Burn Notice, that's like his whole shtick. He's an ex-CIA operative who gets stuck like helping people in Miami because he gets fired, basically. And half the time he's like practice or being someone else to be like, you know, fitting in. Like being a priest who's actually the devil was a really fun one and drove some dude crazy. It just would have been awesome. Like I was watching this fight scene and like, oh, this is Burn Notice. That's all this is. This is Burn Notice.
No, that is a really good parallel. For anyone who hasn't seen Burn Notice, he was the douchebag in Hitch.
I forgot he was in Hitch.
Yeah, he was the douchebag. It's like Vance Brunson, I think was his name actually.
He also is in the show. Was it like Night Eye or Shut Eye or something on Hulu or something, where he's like a mafia dude who gets cursed or some shit. I don't know. I never watched it.
We got some action in the chat. Oh, Yali, our residential snitch, and residential hater, all of the above. She said that we didn't like the Where the Wild Gods Are. She said we're thinking of it as like a compass from Pirates of the Caribbean that doesn't point north. I need Marvel to get Disney out of my Marvel because it's starting to get like pretentious at this point, like with the Nemo fish. Look, I'm over it.
All it is they're just getting us ready for the next Kingdom Hearts where both Marvel and Star Wars are going to be in it, and then you're going to have Goofy and Donald in your team on the forest moon of. You're going to have Goofy and Donald on your team on the forest moon of Endor using Iron Man as a summon. That's all it's going to be.
Look, all the MCU and the Disney acquisition of Marvel, all it is, it's a 20-year setup for a Kingdom Hearts movie.
That's all it is. See, even more perfect. You're going to have Knights of the Round as the summon, but instead of Knights of the Round from Final Fantasy VII, it's the Avengers is your Knights of the Round.
Yeah. It's a 20-year long game.
I'm here for it.
Throw it off.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be mad at that. I wouldn't be mad at that at all. Yeah, so a cool thing that we talked about this off camera, which was like kind of a big moment. And there's been speculation for anybody who's like a comic book fan. So we get a moment where, actually, matter of fact, before I jump to the crazy moment, something that was really funny was when Mark was interrogating the guys, and Steven was just like, "No, don't do it, let him go." And he takes over,
in the reflection of the knife he was threatening him with.
But the part that I thought was hilarious, and you never really think about this in like movies, like he lets the guys go and then runs back into them on the streets, and the guys are like, "Yo, you just let us go." like I thought that was the funniest thing, because like in movies when you get like the bad guy having a conscience, like, "Yo, go," they're usually like, like they follow them out. Yeah, they let them go and then they follow them out, and I'm like, "Oh, that's such an awkward elevator ride." Like, just had you kidnapped, like, and now let you go. But I just thought that was so funny. That was such like a realistic take. Like you had someone hostage, you let them go, and then you see him back on the streets, and it's just like, are we good still?
Really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that this time around. For this little flash, we had we didn't see Steven's stuff. When he flashed and the thing happened, it was flash away and came back. I thought that was really cool, because that's kind of how it worked in the first episode with Mark. So I just thought that was a neat little side thing. What else? But yes, there's some interesting tidbits that we get alluded to, because what is it? He sees them on the streets, starts chasing them down again, and then they knock him the F out.
He's like, "That wasn't me."
And then he wakes up later and they're dead.
Yes, that perfect setup. So again, for the comic book fans, we know that Mark, Steven, they have a third alter ego. And as we talked about off mic, they've kind of deviated from who they are in the comics. Like Steven's
how they're
like
represented.
Exactly. Like Steven's like a rich, swanky millionaire. Mark's like the CIA agent. And then the third guy, nothing's confirmed. This is all speculatory. There's a third, what are they calling them?
In the comics, it's alters, like, or something like that.
Alters. That's the word. Yeah. That's the word. I don't want to offend anybody. So I know
no, it's understandable. Yeah.
But yeah, so like a third alter whose name is Jake Lockley. but
Mhm.
in the comics, he's just like a New York cab driver.
Yep.
But it's kind of referenced here that this third alter is just very violent. he,
Very.
he broke the one kid's leg. Like the other two guys were just dead. And Mark is like, the fact that Mark thought it was Steven was hilarious. He's like, he's like, Steven, what did you do?
Sweet little cinnamon roll, Steven.
He was like, yeah, it wasn't me. But what do we think about this third alter? And have we seen him in the show thus far, or has his reach been felt prior to this like showing up or not showing up? I guess because we didn't really see anything happen. Joe, what you thinking? You got that look in your eye.
So I think he's the one that massacred that dig site, whoever this third alter is. And I really want to know if he has his own unique Moon Knight costume, instead of just being one of the other two. I really want to know, and I want to know what it looks like. Is it like an Avatar of Death kind of thing?
A black suit.
I feel like he does have an alternate suit compared to the other two guys. If he doesn't, I'm really disappointed because
Very.
I feel like every personality should have a different look.
Yeah.
Because the two main that we've got so far obviously have two very distinguishing looks. And I mean, I also agree with the fact that you said that there is this other personality that murdered all these people, because it's not Mark and it's obviously not Steven.
Yeah.
And I'm here for it. I can't really say if it's been felt on my end, if he's been there the whole time, but he's coming.
Yeah.
He's definitely on the way. And Con, when we were saying like, the theme of this episode, so much happened without a lot happening. I feel like them showing that Mark isn't just like this, tough, violent person, like with him, like again, choosing not to hit the kid, but smack him. I feel like that's supposed to like put doubt in our mind, like, oh, like Mark wouldn't mass murder just a group of archaeologists.
Well, this is also the first time we're actually seeing Mark like be Mark, because
Very
like
true.
we only really got a glimpse of him being Moon Knight at the end of the previous episode. So like this is the first time Mark's been full on Mark and doing things, not just talking to Khonshu, that dick.
We're gonna get into him too. But just
God.
to kind of to answer my own question, I do think we've seen this third alter before. I think he was the one that asked that girl out on that date to the
That makes
steakhouse.
sense.
That does make sense.
Because that also doesn't sound like something Mark would do.
Exactly. He's still married. Yeah, that never sat right with me. Like,
and
oh,
could be a fourth alter.
It's possible.
Very true. Very true. And Oscar Isaac did say in the interview that there's definitely more
that
than
suave debonair version. That's all.
So Yali in the chat. Yali in the chat brought up she thinks that maybe the third altar is the one that killed everyone in that village in Holland. That's also very possible.
Oh yeah, in the first episode, right?
Yep.
It was the second, first episode. Yeah, no, very true. Yeah, because I think that was kind of like the point in like showing Mark in action. Like, yeah, like he's definitely adept and can handle himself, but he's just not like in cold blood,
right?
Like, not murder. But no, I actually really like that he might have been the guy to like massacre that whole village and whatnot. But yeah, I think if not him, then definitely the third one was the one that invited that girl out on that date to the steakhouse. Steven's a vegan, and Mark, even though him and Layla's relationship is kind of like on the rocks, which they kind of get into, I don't see him going out on a date.
It feels like that also is just like Mark would want to lay low and not draw attention to himself. And and as much as he probably detests Steven, he's also probably very much like, I don't want to I'm not going to make him eat steak. Okay. That's a dick move.
Right. I'm not going to do that to our stomach.
I mean, I'll do that, but I'm not going to make him do it.
Exactly. So alleged Jake, murders the lead that we were having, because, Mark lost the Scarab. I guess these guys, they were definitely followers of Arthur and Ahmet. So he was tracking them down to pretty much try to beat them to the site. How he thought he was going to beat, God GPS, who knows? But he was trying to beat him. And then, Jake killed him, and now they're back at square one. And then good old Khonshu, Joe's good buddy Khonshu, starts thinking Hail Mary time. He was like, we don't have any leads. I don't have any good ideas. I have a really bad idea. we're gonna try to hold a shotgun trial. We're gonna put Arthur on trial. I need to do some God things to make people. So here's the thing that kind of bugged me. We're in a world where a literal celestial being sprouted up out of the ground. We have Avengers. We have all types of mythical creatures. We have Asgardians, aliens living on Earth. So for like the Egyptian gods, because we find out that Khonshu is kind of the black sheep of the family. He's been banished before for essentially being too loud. He was kind of doing too much things to make people know that there's like god level beings out there. And just the fact that there's so much stuff that happens in the MCU that's like public knowledge, like there's a whole accords like to check super people. The fact that they're like, oh, you did too much. It's like too much happens regularly. Like these are people who
Right.
know about this stuff out there. Like we just saw in the Eternals. I don't know where Eternals ranks in like chronological order to Moon Knight because Moon Knight's kind of disconnected. But the world just saw like a giant red guy like just pop up out the clouds. So for them to just be sticklers about that, uh, I just thought that was very interesting. But because you're kind of Joe, you're always usually right where I'm at. What's your disdain for Khonshu? I gotta know.
He's 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 self-sabotaging. He's not wrong about wanting to like beat the shit out of people that do these terrible things. The problem is he's a little too far. And when Arthur was talking about like, oh, he throws tantrums like a 2-year-old, he's absolutely right. Khonshu is a
Definitely kick the trash
giant
can.
baby. And that's kind of the problem. And he's just a dick to Mark and a dick to everyone else. And
Yeah.
so there's a term in the tabletop gaming community for paladins where they're lawful stupid, where they're basically like I'm gonna solve all the evil and I'm gonna rid the crimes. And Khonshu fits that persona, and I fucking hate that persona. I hate it so much. You have no idea. It's the fucking worst.
It reminds me a lot of like a sociopath too. So I mean, you get like a sociopath toddler, and you're just, oh, there's no saving him.
No.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring up this line of questioning because like I said, Khonshu basically summons the god. Well, he does something to incur the wrath of all the other gods, and they have a trial.
An eclipse, a random eclipse
in the midday, a noon eclipse. So the gods pull him into like the pyramid, the Great Pyramid of Giza, and they're having like a whole trial, and he's calling Arthur on trial for trying to resurrect Amet. Worst trial ever for one. But I wanted to start with the Khonshu part first because we do get some backstory, and it seems that Khonshu had a girlfriend at one point in time, and he used to like music and parties and whatnot, what have you. So do we think, and we'll talk about it more because more comes out in the end of the episode, has Khonshu become jilted? Has he always been just an asshole? Did something happen that like made him? Because he kind of says like, "Yo, I'm an outcast." He's like, "I don't really want. I haven't talked to them in thousands of years. They don't really like me like that." So it's just like, is it because he is the way he is they don't like him, or did he become this way because they don't like him?
I think you're giving him too much credit.
Yeah,
that might be.
I think it's somewhere in between. Personally,
okay.
Like he's supposed to be a god of justice, right? Like he's supposed to be like punish evildoers and things like that. And at some point, the rest of the gods are like, we're just going to peace out. Like they don't really want us around anymore. We're going to keep an eye on them, but we're going to bail. And Khonshu, that doesn't. There's evil that's going to keep happening if that happens. If the gods aren't around to do something about it,
he's not ready to let it go. Basically.
No. So he was when the other gods were around to keep things balanced and everything going, Khonshu probably was a little more chill because he didn't feel he was the only one doing everything.
Joe, you accidentally led me to another point. Do we think that there's something significant with the fact that only 5 gods showed up to the trial, that there were empty seats? And I'm kind of asking because we do know that the main villain for the Thor Love and Thunder is Gore the God Butcher. Do we think that they're kind of like leading up to that? That because being a God Butcher, we're starting to get introduced to a lot of like God level beings. And I don't see, or at least for me, to have like that type of person, I would think that'd be a waste of a character to have him just in Thor Love and Thunder. Like he just in there, like Malekith, like waste of a character. like
Yeah,
whatnot. But
they're pretty notorious for wasting good villains.
very true. Very true. But do we think like the introductions of like gods or more introductions of gods and stuff is gonna somehow like tie into that? And is that the reason for like the lack of Thor Love and Thunder promo and the movie comes out very
Who
soon?
cares?
It is interesting that we've got nothing yet, though. That's all I'm saying. Um, I don't know. I don't know if Gore is interested in the Egyptian gods because they're not gods like the other gods are gods, if that makes sense.
I got
They're
you.
not they're not super powered aliens that blend magic and science. They're like very powerful spirits that people treat as gods. It's like a lot of other cultures don't see gods in the way we would see gods. They're like the spirits in this forest are gods because they're more powerful than us. So
Yali said Conchu's the drunk uncle at the wedding talking about how they paid too much for the flowers.
very much. You know how much more booze those flowers could have bought?
Right, exactly. So I want to touch really briefly on just this worst trial ever. Because they call Arthur to the stand and they accuse him of trying to summon Ahmet. And who was it? Horace was the lead one. He was like the one like overseeing. I believe it was Horace was the one overseeing.
Osiris.
Oh, Cyrus. Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So I feel like as gods, I know they had mentioned like typical, God in film, we just want to watch, we don't want to get involved. They stopped praying to us, we gave up on them speech. But I feel like that wasn't a hard thing to figure out that he was really doing that. They just kind of was like, oh, he's not doing it. like, like didn't check his pockets for the scarab. His whole squad's digging the site up. They can like, yo, can someone just like take a look?
Goes back to what I was saying. Conchu's his own worst enemy.
Yeah, but that whole scene was great. Like him, like with the like
Yeah, I
talking
really
about
enjoyed that. I think I have to say
Mhm.
that was probably my favorite part of that episode, was because it was just it was fun.
It was fun to see like him throwing a tantrum and realizing that if he just let Mark speak and kind of like tell Mark what he should say, but then Mark actually say it, then it wouldn't be nearly as bad.
Right.
Exactly. So like Joe was saying, Khonshu's his own worst enemy. He fumbles the
I think
bag of the trial, and they basically let him know, like, yo, like if you you can hear me? Did I
Yeah,
freeze?
you're
My
good.
back.
You're good. You're good.
I bet. And the other guys basically say, like, yo, if you waste our time like this again, like we're gonna seal you. Like we've already banished you. You don't seem to be learning your lessons. Like, get it together, Grouch, essentially, and whatnot, what have you. So again, we're back to square one. We don't have any ideas. And Layla's was like, you know what? I got some connections. Happen to have some connections. And we take a trip. That's where we were referencing like the cities. There's a very nice establishment. There appears to be, I don't know what their equivalent of jousting is. That's what it looked like. I don't know if it's called something else.
He called it something like it's like Makel or something. I don't remember what it's called, but it's like a traditional form of like jousting from that region. And I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So we get a cool moment that I want to touch on because it's going to lead to a fan theory. I want to know what you guys think. So we kind of get a conversation between Mark and Layla. Basically, Layla saying like, "Hey, could have told me about Steven. Like, you could have let me know what's going on. We could have dealt with it together." And, Mark saying like, "Well, that's not what I do. Like up until like a couple years ago, I had it under control." Do we think that the personality of Steven, this is the fan theory, got blipped?
Ooh, I like that theory.
I that is a decent one. I think it was under control until Mark died and Khonshu brought him back.
Okay. Because that's in the comics as well. That was like his origin story.
It could be a mix of both though too.
Yeah.
But yeah, the theory that I read today was they were saying, if we're going under the MCU logic that, it's multiple souls inhabiting one body, and it's not necessarily, just a split personality, which I know that's not like the politically correct term to use anymore. A lot of people were saying like, going based off of very like, eagle-eyed details that Mark had got his passport during the time of the blip, so he didn't get blipped. So a lot of people are saying like, what if some of his alters did get snapped, and that's why he had it under control, and then when the Avengers reversed it, he was like, yeah, up until recently I had it all under control. But I do like the other side of it too. Like, when he died, and Khonshu got involved. But has it ever been referenced, or do we know how long Mark has been Khonshu's avatar?
No, he knew about it though. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just like it was triggered and got worse after that or something,
Hmm.
but she knew about the suit. So she knew that
Right.
he had access to the powers. But you know,
Yeah, because I wondered, because I don't think it's ever like said. I don't know, for some reason in my brain, I feel like we know how long they were together, but I also could just not be right about that. But I
and
just feel like there might have been a detail.
I think part of that is purposeful because of Mark and all of them, their weird perception of time and how
Mm,
any one of them will lose days at a time. We're also kept purposely in the dark, I think, for storytelling purposes.
yeah, 3 episodes. 3 episodes left, Marvel. Let's get to it.
I mean, I can't really complain about that because, like I said,
So
I
I
think
also
this
get
is the
another cool
worst so
mention, and I
far.
want to ask you guys what you think. Jazz said, "I'm 6 episodes is enough. I don't need
Yeah.
any more."
It really is, though. I mean, it hasn't wowed me at all. So
Look, all I want, if they're gonna do another season, which they're not really saying they're gonna, is he's got beef with Dracula. The 6 episodes has to be Moon Knight's beef with Dracula. That's all.
Yeah,
That's all I want.
no, that would be great. I read something. I don't know what the god's name is, and I'm probably gonna like. I'm not even gonna attempt to guess it, but they were saying like there is an Egyptian god who also has shown up in the Marvel comics who like feeds off human energy, and they
Mhm.
were saying that could be like their entry into like vampires, and that could be like the Blade
Yeah.
now, correct me
crossover.
if I'm wrong, though, because I very well could be. Isn't that kind of what Oscar Isaac's character in Apocalypse was, like the energy from other mutants?
Yeah, yeah.
Kinda, yeah.
But
More
no.
like it's closer to stealing their powers.
Yeah, I was about to say we like absorb their power. But yeah, they said that there's like an Egyptian god who has shown up in the comics that looks like a leopard. I don't know the name of the character at all, but she, I think is she, like feeds on human energy. And they were saying that could be like a non-vampire way of getting like going into like that type of creature, and
Oh
that
man.
could be the Blade.
Full on vampires and werewolves. They need to
Van
give
Vamp me.
if I don't get some reference, like it was cringy when it happened with the I'm the Juggernaut bitch back in the day, but if I don't get some meme related reference now, like I love it now looking back on it, chef kiss, considering everything we got after that was worse. But if I don't get some reference of like Moon Knight going like Dracula, where is my fucking money? Then I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's like a waste, absolute waste.
Where's my money, man? Give me my money, man.
Shoots Dracula in the kneecap. I need my money.
That would be great. That would be great. So Layla does have a connection in Cairo, and we get some connective tissue. We get a name drop. They mentioned Madripoor is where she has done business with this man before. Do we think Layla has had any interactions with Sharon Carter, the power broker, or even the Ten Rings?
If
Or is
Layla
that a guess?
hasn't, her contact from that they're about to meet definitely has.
Gotcha. Yeah. Like there's part of me, and Jazz, you made a face, so I want to hear what you have to say. Like part of me feels like it's like we haven't connected it to the MCU, so they're just like throwing names out at
Yeah,
us to like make us feel better. But then I'm just like, oh, there's so much like good shit that could like come from like these mentions.
exactly.
There's a and I'll this is the last I'll interrupt and then I'm sorry. There's someone that pointed out one of the buses in England has an advertisement for the global like
Yeah.
relocation
Hmm.
organization or whatever, the ones that are like the big problem in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, from the yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. But Jazz, you had that face. Do you
I
think
mean,
Is
I
Marvel
never
pandering to
make
us?
that connection while watching that, but I love it because again, Falcon and the Winter Soldier was one of my favorite MCU series so far. I really enjoyed, Shang-Chi, so I'm here for it. They better,
Great
because
movie.
that would be like, I just think it'd be a nice little tie-in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's a good way to try to, because kind of what you were saying, Joe. It's like I don't really know what this show is. And it's just like outside of obviously, we can easily like put him next to Blade and it makes sense. So, or Sam Whitman from Eternals and everything. Like that makes sense because they're like extraterrestrial fighters and stuff like that. But like I don't see where you drop him into like the bigger MCU and it makes sense. Like it seems like it's so disconnected
I
from
mentioned
what's going on.
something. Mentioned something in the previous episode. I don't know if you saw it. That like I wanted to addend my whole 3 tracks concept, where there's like
Okay.
the street level, the global level, and then like the cosmic level. Like
Okay.
I originally intended like the cosmic level to be like the space and magic stuff, but I think we're going to have a separate magic track, and we're going to see a lot of that with like Doctor Strange and the Midnight Suns and things
Yep.
like that. I think that's the direction that's going, especially after Eternals with Blade showing up with Black Knight and being like, okay, those guys are going to be besties. So I don't know. It's really sad. Like I want to be like, oh, so it's the Falcon and the Winter Soldier again. Because he's from the north as well. Jon Snow was literally a winter soldier.
That's Jazz's favorite scene from that movie.
I hate you both right now.
Oh man,
Oh my God.
hilarious. So I probably should have pulled this up and I'm ill prepared, but we meet with the character who is known as Midnight Man, played by an actor who has since passed on. I don't want to butcher his
Gaspard
name.
Ulliel.
Yes. So prayers and blessings out to his family. He unfortunately passed away.
Like at the beginning of this year.
I believe it was a skiing accident, like right after the show wrapped. And yeah, and you can kind of tell because like his character, like when you first get introduced, like they reference like the backstory for him and Layla, like there's the Madripoor name drop. Him and Arthur seem to like have like a moment, and then it kind of seems like they just like rush him out of the show, almost literally rush him out of the show on
He's
a
got like
horse.
one more shot after that where he like him and Mark are facing down and they both are going after Layla, and then he throws a boomerang at him and hits him in the shoulder and he rides off into the mists.
Right, exactly. And I wonder if that was it felt awkward. It felt like an awkward. It seemed like he was like either going to be like a recurring character in this like the next couple episodes, or like because Midnight Man is a character like in the comic books and whatnot, what have you. So I wonder if like his passing was like oh dang, to respect his memory, we don't want to like use the character anymore, or if it was a because it was giving
Oh no.
Jacques Duquesne vibes. Like it seemed like, oh, this is supposed to be an important character. Oh, I'm gonna wait again.
Just for a second. You're good.
Okay, cool.
Sam
It was giving me
not
Jacques
gonna play
vibes.
with you tonight, Maddie.
I know, right? Everybody's on spring break home using their Wi-Fi. It's messing me up.
So I'm unsure. I haven't heard anything about reshoots for this show, so I don't know if that was a thing. And he's listed in IMDb as being in like 4 episodes. So if he's in this one and the rest of the series, that would be the 4. But IMDb is, fan maintained, so it's not like 100% accurate.
Just like Wikipedia.
I was about to say it's the nice version of the clean version of Wikipedia, the upscale version.
It's laser focused wiki, yes. But yeah, this whole scene was very
Yeah. So the one part that I did like from this, obviously like the fight scenes and the action and whatnot.
Absolutely.
But Arthur does come out, and we kind of buried the lead and talked about it. We could touch on it a little bit more, but Arthur shows up out of the blue because we kind of skipped the part. So they went to go see Layla's friend because he had purchased a sarcophagus of the guy that made the map to hide. Why do they make maps for hidden places?
MacGuffins within MacGuffins within MacGuffins.
Like Luke Skywalker never wanted to be found, but he left a map. Like they don't want anyone to find. They don't want anyone to find Ahmed's tomb.
Well, it's like Captain America's cell phone. Just call me if you need me. You know where to find me. Here's your map.
Tries to call, phone is horribly outdated and cannot connect to the network.
what if Steve lost that phone? Like Infinity War doesn't happen. Like Thanos just wins quickly. Like movie's over.
um
Steve's like shit.
so there's a lot that happens in this scene and the one right
Yeah.
after it, and that's kind of my problem with this episode. As we talked about, there's a bunch of little things that happen, and it's a bunch of little things that feel inconsequential but aren't. But because it's a bunch of little things that happen rapidly back to back, it's like nothing feels, there's no room to breathe because we just keep going little thing, little thing, little thing. So I don't know, this whole scene, cool fight scene, but also a mess.
Well,
Yeah.
much like, Steven, Mark, whoever that person really is.
Yeah.
A mess. So
It's true.
Hot mess, a mess of hot. But the one takeaway that I did want to touch on with you guys from that, again, we touched on it briefly, is when Arthur shows up and he's trying to like play mind games. He says to Layla, like, oh, like Mark's been keeping secrets from you, like you lost your dad, you haven't really been able to recover from it. You just want the truth of what happened. And he's like, and Mark knows. And we kind of talked about it that we think that this third altar, so Mark was accused of being involved with like a mass homicide at a gravesite where a bunch of archaeologists got killed. And we
Yep.
know from the top of this episode, Layla's dad was an archaeologist who died, so we're going to assume that he was one of those guys. And Arthur's kind of like referencing like, oh, Mark knows what happens to your dad. And Mark definitely kind of tries to dismiss it, like, oh no, he's just
I wonder if Mark thinks Steven did it,
I hmm.
because we've already got the evidence that
get
Mark. Oh, keeps.
Ooh.
I wonder if Mark.
Am I back?
Not really, bro.
But
Keep going with your theory. Go for it.
I wonder if
I don't know
Mark
what's
thinks Steven
happening.
did
I
it.
don't like it.
Because Steven, Mark's
Mark
definitely
thinks
seems
Steven
to think
did everything.
Yeah, because when Mark wakes up and that dude's getting stabbed, he's like, Steven, what did you do? So I don't know. Let's see. Arthur just came to Layla as a woman. I don't know what that comment means, Yali. Are you good?
Oh,
There we go. That's much better.
Are we back? All right.
Yeah.
I'm over here. When you were a kid, you don't know how to fix the computer. You just kind of kick the tower.
Nice. My ship works better when I kick it.
Exactly.
That freeze frame was amazing, though, I have to say.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll find out on the playback.
But yeah.
Great,
I don't know.
great.
I think Mark has ideas as to what happened, but he's not 100% sure.
Yeah, because it's kind of confusing because it's like when the blackout happened and he killed all the people in the beginning of the episode, like Mark was genuinely like, oh, Steven, what did you do?
Yeah.
But like with this whole Layla's dad thing, it seems like he has an idea. So it's just like, do we think he knows that there's other people other than Steven? Like
I
other
don't know.
altars?
I don't know
Tricky.
either. I mean, for me, I mean, at first, sure, he may have thought that Steven did this, but I have a hard time knowing, as we know Steven, like I have a hard time buying that he believes that it was Steve too.
Yeah. Oh, and I don't know if he fully believes it, but like if Mark and Steven think the other one is the only other personality there, then neither
mistaken.
Yeah, exactly. But if they both think that, then logically speaking, the other person is the one doing these terrible things. That's the only thing it could be to either of them, because they're blacking out and then they wake up and terrible things happen. And even if Mark knows someone else inside of him did the terrible things and killed Layla's dad, he's probably going to feel responsible for it, because it's not like his body wasn't there.
Right.
Yeah, he probably like came to. It was like, ah, shit.
Yeah,
that's kind of time.
Like, how do you go home for dinner after that? Like, you just killed your wife's dad. And you're like rushed into the bathroom. Like shit.
Mom said she didn't hear from Dad at his dig site today. What do you think happened? I don't know. Maybe just bad cell reception.
Right, bad cell reception. Like the desert. Am I right? So the whole reason why they went to Layla's friend is, like I said, he purchased the sarcophagus of the guy that made the map that could help them track down where the tomb of Ahmet is. And of course, Arthur tries to put a whole kibosh on it. He's like, let me show you my magic tricks. Sets the whole thing on fire. Don't know why the whole thing needed to be set on fire. And as a collector, Midnight Man did not seem too upset that his priceless artifact just got burned.
By a more powerful priceless artifact.
Yeah, you're right.
Maybe it
He's
was
like,
a
I
fake
want
this
that
whole
thing.
time.
It's also possible.
Might have been. Only the map was real. That would suck if they did all that and it was a fake map. Like, all that happened.
Also,
And
he
then,
apparently is wildly loaded. He can probably just buy another priceless relic.
very true. Very true. So the end of this episode, this is where I've been seeing a lot of division, and I want to get your guys' take on this. So Khonshu again, and this is probably why I try to shoot him some bail. He's been coming up aces. Like he's been given ideas. They've been bad ideas. But he's like, I'm an idea man. I just give ideas.
But he puts
So
himself in these situations where he has to do these things.
you're right. That is very true. That is very true. So Mark agrees to let Steven take over because he can't figure out the map. And they're
Mhm.
trying to, it's like astrological signs. It's basically gonna like lead them to a constellation that'll be like, hey, here. But he can't figure it out. He's just trying to get Steven. He's like, yo, just like kind of tell me what's up. And Steven's just like, nope, give me the body and I got you. Like you were saying, Joe, he's getting a little more bold. He's
Yeah.
just like, let me do it. And then it's funny because Mark's like, yeah, it's like, no, you're not gonna give me the body back if I let you do it.
Well, I mean, you didn't give him his body back either, so
very, very true. But it's so funny, like when he finally does switch, he doesn't want to see Layla, like he doesn't want Layla to see like him see the switch, so he like breaks the mirror off
Yeah.
and walks up. Steve's just like, cool, thanks. Cheers. Thanks. And he does it really quick, puts it together, and then we get probably some of the coolest magic that we've seen. So they put the map together, and this is where the division is, where I want to hear what you guys think. They put the map together, but Steven points out that stars kind of do move, even though it doesn't seem like it's moving to us because they're so far away.
hmm.
So this would have been like a night 2,000 years ago. And Khonshu, plot protection power was just like, hey, I have the ability to rewind the sky. I know all the nights. Like I could definitely just take you back to that night. So here's where the debate comes in. I want to hear what you guys think. A lot of people are saying that they think Khonshu rewound time. Like he like literally went back in time, like just took the planet back in time 2,000 years. Where I kind of, or the other side of it, which is the side that I'm on, he says like he's like, oh, like I can rewind the sky, kind of like old school film or like a videotape. I feel
Yeah.
like he just kind of took the sky back, but I feel like that was kind of like overly implied, but I'm seeing like a lot of people that are like, oh, what are the ramifications of him going back in time 2,000
Look,
years? Like,
a lot of fan theories out there are stupid bonkers because there are people that think Mark's alter egos are other Marks from the multiverse trying to share a body. Okay.
that's not the worst.
That no, that is dumb, and I don't want to hear it. But no, I'm with you. He rewound the sky. That's all he did because he had to hold it. He couldn't just rewind it. If he was
Yeah.
time traveling, he would have thrown the Earth back in 2,000 years and been like, "We're here."
Yeah,
But
exactly.
no, he had to hold it.
Yeah, because I was seeing like a lot of people are just like, oh, if he like took us back 2,000, it was weird because they're not saying like he went back in time 2,000 years, but he like sent the universe back 2,000 years, and then they were just like, oh, that's gonna bring back all these bad guys that have died
No,
before.
no.
Yeah, that's like, but it was
people
like really
people
catching
are
fire.
people are really clamoring to get some of these villains to come back, like multiversal crap or
Yeah.
whatever. And if they're gonna do it, they're gonna find another way to do it than some accidental side effect of one random thing Khonshu did to solve a 10-minute problem that they could have done with an app.
1,000%. Google Maps could have did all that for you.
As long as you're not in New York or San Francisco or anywhere else with tall buildings.
Very,
Khonshu
very
is
true.
his own worst enemy, and I will die on this hill.
And look, that's a perfect segue for what happens next.
King Khonshu.
So Khonshu rewinding the sky, like the other gods had said prior to, If you do something else that kind of makes us look bad or just kind of makes us look like we exist, we're gonna imprison you. So this was the moment. But Conchu does say to Steven, he's like, hey, if I do this, they're gonna lock me up. Tell Mark to set me free. And
Hmm.
what that means and why Steven can't do it, I'm very interested into that aspect of it.
Because Conchu has no faith in Stephen.
Yo, that's very true. Yo, tell Mark, come get me.
I mean, does anybody really have faith in Steven when we first met him? So
I had faith that he deserves a very good life and to be safe and happy and get a good night's rest. And he needs to stay
exactly.
hydrated.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Khonshu does get imprisoned in the statue. For some reason, they like I guess Arthur's his next of kin on his emergency contact list. So they summon him for some strange reason to let him know, and he kind of has a talk, like a heart to heart, just basically letting him know, like, yo, Darth Vader to Obi-Wan, like, you did this to me. Like I'm this way because of like your torment, and like I ended up loving what you've done to me. You did
Hmm.
this. But yeah, but that kind of goes back to like what I was saying before. And again, I guess I'm just trying to shoot Conchu some bail. Like, who hurt you, Conchu? Like who made you like this and whatnot, what have you? And I wouldn't be, and here's the part that sucks. I think because there's only 3 episodes left, I would love to see Arthur and Conchu like a flashback sequence to see like
Mm.
why their relationship is the way it or why he left him to go to Mark. Because it's like, is that like a thing? Like that? Because I feel like he Conchu made it seem like in the second episode that like your avatar is your avatar like until that person dies. I guess like he was saying like, oh, Layla's next up, but Arthur clearly isn't dead. Like,
Now, I
he's
know
alive.
that usually, like, the end credit scene thing that we usually get at the end of Marvel stuff
Mhm,
is for the next thing that's coming, typically.
mhm.
But that might be an interesting, like, little thing to see, like a 5-minute scene with Arthur and Khonshu.
Yeah,
Be fun.
I would definitely love to see that. So the voice of God in my headset or in my chat line has said that it's time to start wrapping this up.
Yeah.
So final thoughts, Jazzy, what did you think of this episode in its totality and where we are and where do you think we're at?
I will give this episode a 7 out of 10, and I feel like I'm being very kind with that.
Very, very
um,
kind.
I
I'm
almost want to
surprised
say
that that's what
thick.
you gave.
But I'll still watch it, and I hope it ends stronger than it's been going so far.
Joe, how you feeling about this one, its totality, and where you think we're going?
I'm going to give this episode a solid meh. The I think we are going to get some sort of flashback with Arthur and Conchu, and then also what happened on the day Mark died.
Mhm.
But I'm pretty sure that's going to be over the course of the next 2 episodes, because Mark is in a coma, Conchu's in a statue. That's prime flashback writing time. Um, so. So yeah, that's where we're going to go. And I also think I'm going to predict it. I think I may have mentioned it that Oscar Isaac is going to be our Moon Knight if we get more Moon Knight in the rest of the MCU. I
He
think it's going
absolutely
to be
better.
Layla. I
Oh,
think I think she's
Mm.
going to be the Moon Knight. If like I think he's not going to be able to keep it up, holding on to the mantle, and they're going to give and Layla's going to end up with it.
Does Mark and Steven stay in the MCU, or you think Oscar's gonna ride off into the sunset?
I think they're gonna Steve Rogers it, where it's like he's gonna be there, but he's never gonna show up again. Like
Hmm.
technically, you know what I mean? Like they're not gonna kill him, but something's gonna happen and he can't be the Avatar anymore. Or it's the only way to save him is Layla makes a deal with Khonshu or something.
I just feel like there's so many hilarious interactions that Steven can have with other MCU characters.
Totally.
That would just be so
It
funny.
it is a touchy subject because Moon Knight is already a challenging character to handle appropriately. And the more you do with him, the more challenging it becomes because mental health is a very serious concern.
That's
Um,
a good point. Really good
and
point,
and
actually.
and the more they use him as a character, the riskier it becomes. The more they can misstep. And when you have one writer handling him, one writer can create a voice and do it appropriately. But when you start passing him off to other writers to handle him, the riskier it becomes. And I don't know if Marvel wants to take that risk on.
Yeah, that could be a PR nightmare waiting to
Very
happen.
much. And it's just not respectful if not handled appropriately. I think they're doing a good job so far, but you cram them into another movie or another series, and it's going to be very easy to where they're just going to be like, haha, look at him splitting personalities, haha, funny joke. And
Yeah.
that's not going to be something that's going to be appropriate.
No,
Look at the backlash in Endgame with Fat Thor, um, and that kind of stuff. Like he was dealing with legitimate depression, and
Yeah.
weight gain and stuff is a serious thing. And then he just happened to be a joke for like 3 characters. So
no, that is an amazing point. It definitely like he turns into a caricature if you
mhm.
keep him in a lot of properties. So yeah, I'm rolling. But meh is a good rating for this episode. Just kind of where we've been at in its totality. Just meh. I really I do like the two plot point. I guess is one, just two separate things. Just I'm excited to see the other altars, or if there's more than one, or just the singular altar. I'm really excited, like just kind of like the mystery behind that, and just that they're gonna kind of like hit us with like a lucky number 11 flashback sequence where he's been more involved in like past things that have already happened than what you might not know
Yep.
about. I think that would be really cool. But yeah, so 3 more episodes. We're officially halfway through, and what do we really know? but
Nothing.
yeah, there you go. That's neither here nor there. So we will definitely be seeing you guys next week, and you know how we do this. We're gonna let you know where you can find us all, then we'll close this thing out. Jazzy, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me at Rose City Widow on Instagram. And if you also would like, you can check out Vancouver Master Chorale on Facebook and Instagram. Actually, our concerts are a month from today, so it's gonna be some good stuff. A lot of Broadway, a lot of opera stuff this time around.
Love it, love it, love to hear it. Toast songbird of our generation, I'm telling you. Joe, let the people know where they can find you.
Okay, you can find me on Twitter where I'm at the Spice Must Joe. Of course, as I've said before, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can also find me on TikTok where I'm at the Spice Must Joe, and I'm sure there's various other places you can find me. Oh, you can find me on the Rollmongers podcast on some Mondays when we actually do it, and life isn't throwing us curveballs. We're playing Pathfinder Second Edition, which is a lot of fun.
What about
Um,
your LinkedIn?
I mentioned it. I'm on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
Okay,
it was on
okay,
there.
It
It was
okay,
on
okay. I
it's
there.
must have missed
it's
it somehow. Sorry.
no, it's all good. It's all good. It's just my name, Joseph Davis. You'll find me eventually. You'll find this hideous mug on there somewhere. And yeah, that's I think that's it for me. Yeah.
Absolutely. It is literally on my bucket list of things to do to get Joe a LinkedIn sponsorship. He deserves it at this point because I feel like we're driving traffic to that website.
It's like the only thing I actually advertise.
I feel like no one was on LinkedIn. It was, oh shit, I forgot that. Let me update my profile. I feel like traffic went up when we started doing these panels together. But I have been your host, Matt Spector, for this week. I'm not even sure who all is going to be the array of characters that we'll be doing this with next week. But if I'm back next week, I'll have a different name. I am sure. You can find me at _menace2sobriety on Instagram, as well as repping the Fandom Spotlight flagship podcast, Dragon Ball for Life, which you can find and listen to DB4L_pod on Twitter and Instagram. And that's every Wednesday on Spotify and Anchor. But we have been your Fandom Spotlights. It's just going to be our name now, like the Rockets or the Fandom Spotlights. And it's always a joy to do this with you guys. Like I said, doing this each week with you guys, or when we do these together, it's highlight of my Thursday nights or whatever day of the week that we do it. So that has been our time. And always remember to follow that fandom. Laters Gators.